Who's running this club? Diamond K, Diamond K, Diamond K. Who's running this club? Diamond K, Diamond K, Diamond K.
So he was born Robert Sylvester Kelly. Of course, known for a lot of big records, major records. One of the most acclaimed songwriters of this generation, of his generation. Of course, the 1996 hit, I Believe I Can Fly. Many others. Trapped in the Closet, 12 Play. So many records come to mind when we think about the music of R. Kelly. R. Kelly, of course, sold millions of albums and remained in demand even after allegations about his abuse of young girls began circulating. It kind of hit the underground scene. It was kind of talked about in the 90s. And it did not, hinder his career. Of course, we know about the romantic involvement with Aaliyah, the late singer Aaliyah. We know about a lot of different things. R. Kelly was acquitted of child sex abuse charges these were image charges. There was this infamous videotape that was floating around. Anyway, he was acquitted of those charges in 2008. So I guess R. Kelly thought that everything was good. He thought that stuff was behind him. But a second trial in Chicago in 2022 ended with his conviction on charges of producing images of child sex abuse and enticing girls. So that was that's how we got where we are now. Widespread outrage over Kelly's sexual misconduct did not emerge until the Me Too era, as they often talked about Me Too era, reaching a crescendo after the release of the documentary Surviving R. Kelly. So that's how that's the backstory. Now, R. Kelly's racketeering and trafficking convictions, along with a 30-year prison sentence. That's right, you heard me, 30 years R. Kelly received. Now, this was upheld today by federal appeals court that has concluded that R. Kelly exploited his fame over a quarter of a century to abuse girls and young women. They thought that they were going to beat this case. The R. Kelly camp thought that. But the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Manhattan ruled after hearing arguments last March. So yes, that's how long it took for them to come to this conclusion. They've thought about it. They've gone over the facts. But the Grammy-winning multi-platinum singer, songwriter, was convicted in 2021 in Brooklyn federal court on multiple charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. So the attorney representing R. Kelly said in a statement that she believed that the Supreme Court will hear her appeal. She called the second court ruling unprecedented, saying that it gives prosecutors limitless discretion to apply the racketeering law to situations absurdly remote from the statute's intent. So they're going to try to go to the Supreme Court. But last year, the High Court declined to hear an appeal of the 20-year sentence that R. Kelly received after he was convicted in 2022 of the charges in Chicago. So he's got a 30-year, he's got 20-year. I don't see how he's coming home anytime soon. Now, the Second Circuit Court rejected R. Kelly's arguments that the trial evidence was inadequate that the constitutionality of some states' laws used against him were questionable, that 4 jurors were biased, that the trial judge made some improper rulings, and a racketeering charge more commonly used in organized crime was improper. The Second Circuit Court rejected all of those arguments. So you had that, and they said that enabled by a constellation of managers, assistants, and other staff for over 25 years, R. Kelly exploited his fame to lure girls and young women into his grasp, the appeals court said, noting that members of his entourage helped introduce him to underage girls. So the evidence at trial showed that he would isolate the girls from friends and family, control nearly every aspect of their lives, and abuse them verbally, physically, and sexually. This was a panel of 3 judges that came to this conclusion. The appeals court said it was neither arbitrary nor irrational that several accusers were permitted to testify at trial that R. Kelly gave them herpes without disclosing he had a sexually transmitted disease. And it was not unduly, cumulative that 7 witnesses who were not yet adults when R. Kelly began to abuse them were allowed to testify. None of the testimony was more inflammatory than the charged acts, the appeals court said. So R. Kelly did not want these folks to testify, some of these girls who were minors at the time of the accused behavior. He didn't want them to testify. The judge said that they could and they should have been allowed to testify. And Second Court also said that it was not unfairly, prejudging or for the trial judge to let jurors view the graphic videos. So the videos were played. The videos, the appeal court said, were properly admitted to show the means and the methods of what they call the enterprise, including the level of control and dominance that R. Kelly had over the victims. So some of you may wonder, why? How were they able to use the racketeering charge? Because that's what got R. Kelly all this time, the racketeering. So if you notice, a lot of times through the course of the trial, if you read the transcripts or you heard anybody talk about it or you read anything about it, they often talked about the fact that members of his staff, folks that were surrounding him, helped him get the women that were abused. And that, constituting the fact that this was people that were employed by him, R. Kelly, they were part of the entourage. They looked at that, the enterprise, the criminal enterprise being the R. Kelly team, the movement, the whole thing. And that the singing and the performing was part of what was used to entice and coerce and seduce these young girls and women. And so if members of the team, people that are on the payroll, are helping in the abuse, that is how, and it is novel. We haven't seen it done quite like this before, but I think that they're going to use elements of this in the P. Diddy trial that is coming up in May. So R. Kelly's attorney said on R. Kelly's behalf, and also cited a partial dissent in which one circuit judge, Judge Richard J. Sullivan, concurred with what he described as the majority's excellent opinion, but dissented in part over a restitution award given one victim for a lifetime supply of a suppressive regime of herpes medication. The award was based on the cost of the brand name drug when a generic drug was available. So I don't know why they chose to highlight that. But R. Kelly's team said this was not restitution. This was an effort by the government to unfairly enrich government witnesses for their testimony. So they said, she was given this lifetime supply of this herpes medication, and they're saying that you were just paying off the witness. How dare you pay off the witness? And so that's an interesting way of looking at this. Of course, your man Diamond K in here, the Diamond K Show. On all social media, I'm at the Diamond K Show. So definitely, however you are watching us or listening to us, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give us a double tap, all of that. I really appreciate that. And so there we have it. R. Kelly. What is going to become of him? He's 57 years old. And so he was sentenced in a couple of trials, and there was a 6-week trial in Brooklyn. We talked about that. Slew of witnesses. During oral arguments, R. Kelly told the panel the government failed to support his racketeering conviction because there wasn't enough evidence to show that the enterprise had an illegal purpose. So obviously the purpose is to make money. Right? I think that's at the end of the day, that was the purpose. But he claimed that the federal prosecutors did not make it clear at trial that R. Kelly's employees were explicitly trying to recruit underage women for him. And so this at its core is the foundation of this racketeering charge. And of course, R. Kelly and his team do not want the racketeering charge. If they could somehow get out of this racketeering charge, then maybe he could see the light of day at some point in time. However, a Barack Obama appointee, U.S. Circuit Judge Denny Chin, said he was not swayed by this argument that R. Kelly and his team were trying to bring forth, and said that there was sufficient evidence proving R. Kelly's direct connection to his entourage's pattern of recruiting and abusing specifically underage women. So the record is full of evidence that R. Kelly was able to commit the acts because he was the head of a close-knit group of associates and he controlled the affairs of the enterprise, the judge wrote in the panel's decision. For instance, the panel pointed to trial evidence indicating that R. Kelly's entourage devised a plan for R. Kelly to marry Aaliyah when she was underage. The plan was devised after R. Kelly said he was worried that she was pregnant and needed to protect himself. So the judges are saying that in this instance, R. Kelly thought that Aaliyah was pregnant. And of course, she's 15 at this time, and that would have been a complete crime there. And so he tried to protect himself in that instance. And so frequently using the entourage to help him carry out his criminal acts does not work in his favor, and it does not shine like this victimhood. He tried to cloak himself. R. Kelly tried to cloak himself in victimhood. The panel also pointed to other evidence showing that R. Kelly's entourage helped him to meet underage girls. These are girls that were abused at R. Kelly's direction. R. Kelly claimed that 4 of the jurors in his trial were biased against him and asserted that he had ineffective assistance of counsel because his attorney failed to properly question them. So of course, R. Kelly is the victim. The jury's against me. My attorney's not representing me right. But the panel found that each juror was subject to thorough questioning, and that R. Kelly's counsel challenged several potential jurors during the selection process. So R. Kelly tried to say that his attorney did not have his back. And the judges say this is not true, that they thoroughly went through the selection process. Because during the selection process, they ask you a bunch of questions to try to see whether or not you will be biased against their client. And if you are somebody that they find that could potentially be biased, they will, get you thrown off the case. But all four now challenged jurors represented to the district court that they could be fair and impartial, follow the presumption of innocence, and hold the government to its burden of proof. So that argument did not fly. And R. Kelly and his team, they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall. Whatever can stick on the wall, we'll try anything. Nothing worked. The U.S. Circuit Judge Susan Carney, another Obama appointee, also participated in the majority decision. Now, while the U.S. Circuit Judge Richard Sullivan, who is a Donald Trump appointee, largely sided with the panel's decision, he disagreed with how the lower court calculated restitution for one of the victims, and we talked about that. So the brand name drug would cost over $200,000. So Sullivan said that the prosecutors failed to adequately show that Jane contracted herpes as a result of R. Kelly's conduct. He added that the court erred in calculating the restitution based on a lifetime supply of a brand name herpes drug, Valtrex, instead of the cheaper generic drug, which is valacyclovir. Now, according to R. Kelly, the brand name drug would cost over $200K more than the generic drug over the course of Jane's lifetime. Nothing in the record suggests a difference between the Valtrex and the generic drug, or that Jane used Valtrex exclusively, the judge said in his dissenting opinion. So as you can see, they're kind of arguing over whether or not she was paid, and was she paid more, for the drug, and it's interesting. So they said this was not restitution. This was an effort by the government to financially enrich the government witness with their testimony, R. Kelly's attorney said. But the judges weren't having that. The conviction is going to stand. And the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York has declined comment on the R. Kelly case. And I think that's it. The Second Circuit Court affirming R. Kelly's racketeering and sex crimes conviction. And that's how it's going to go. I don't think that we're going to see R. Kelly get out of jail anytime soon. And it's his own doing. It's his own doing. The people around him, did they enable him? Yes. Did they contribute to these crimes? Yes. But the racketeering and the Mann Act convictions have been upheld on appeal. What does he do next? I don't know. I don't know what he can do next. It's interesting. It's interesting. But it's a tragic story. It's a sad story when you think about it. For 25 years, more than that, but at least 25 years, R. Kelly used his stardom. Many families allowed their child to be around R. Kelly, and it is something that we've seen. So we have this upcoming Diddy trial, and I think that there are going to be some elements that are similar. The racketeering part, they're going to try to charge him, say that he took women over state lines and the things like that. And these are different things that they said about R. Kelly. So I think that there are going to be some similarities in a lot of instances. That trial is going to be bananas. We're going to be covering that and talking about that. Of course, I am available on all social media. Hit me up at the Diamond K Show. Of course, djdiamondk at gmail.com. Need to get in touch with me. It has been real, and I'll see you guys later. All right, so what's going on TikTok? All right, so we cut off YouTube and we cut off Instagram, and looking over here, seeing, yeah. So R. Kelly is definitely going to stay there. He's not getting out. Did y'all think that, y'all thought that he was going to beat this charge? I don't know. I mean, he makes good songs. He makes great music, or made great music. And as a DJ, you know, sometimes I play some of those songs. I mean, there are times where I play Step in the Name of Love. I'll play Backyard Party. I'll play Happy People. I don't play the slow songs too much in the parties, but I've been able to separate the man from the art, and a lot of people don't seem to do that. Separate the man, R. Kelly, from you know, the music that we listen to, because if we run down the list on a lot of artists that we listen to, a lot of actors, a lot of directors, they have some things in their past that's kind of crazy. They got some things that are kind of crazy. And, you know, so I don't want to unfairly target an artist for cancellation for my radio because of different things that they've done. But some of those slow songs, we were talking about R. Kelly thinking that he had Aaliyah pregnant. And there are songs during that time period that you can tell he's talking about Aaliyah. And you know, that's kind of weird, right? So some of those slow songs, it's kind of it's just uncomfortable in some instances. But I do still listen to R. Kelly's music, and like I said, at some parties I will play it. But of course, it's up to you whether you listen to it or you do a lot of. I mean, so if you have a rapper that killed someone or goes to jail for selling drugs or whatever, do we stop listening to their music? No, usually we don't. If you were listening to somebody like that, they were already talking about, usually if it's a rapper, they're already talking about banging guns and selling drugs. And so when they go to jail for these acts, that doesn't make you stop listening to them, these crimes. And in those instances, you're not separating the artist from the art. I guess you said this is what he said he does or she does on record, so that's what they do, and it's all good. But R. Kelly has so many records, and yeah, I'm still gonna play some of those songs, and I still do. With regards to Diddy, obviously I haven't played as much Diddy records as as in the past. Diddy has touched a lot of records. Am I gonna stop playing Mary J? No. Am I gonna stop playing Lil Kim? No. Am I gonna stop playing Biggie? No. But Diddy specific records, like his songs, some of those I don't really play. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I have not played any. I mean, he didn't really have a lot of music out recently that I'm playing. So I'm more so on old school sets or something like that. But for right now, Diddy's on pause. Diddy's on pause for right now. Now, some records that he produced, I'm still playing, if appropriate. So we'll see. But let me know, should I stop playing R. Kelly records at parties? Should I stop playing Diddy records at parties? Please let me know in the comment section, or hit me up, djdiamondk@gmail.com. And definitely, it's been real. So I'll see you guys a little bit later, because so much to say. R. Kelly going down. R. Kelly going down. And pause.
Running this club.